recall that I stated in 2014 that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. That was true then. That was true then, and it is true now. It is 100% correct. So if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. But it is warped logic to jump from that to a conclusion that if there is depreciation in your currency, then the fundamentals must be weak. Do you understand the logic? It is very warped logic. If the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. But if the exchange rate moves, you cannot jump to that conclusion that the fundamentals are weak. That defies logic. That defies logic. There could be other external factors causing the exchange rate depreciation. The exchange rate depreciated by 31.3%. The fiscal deficit was 10.1% of GDP. The public debt rose to 70.2% of GDP. Inflation rose to 17%, and GDP growth had declined from 7.3% to 4%. In other words, the economic fundamentals had weakened significantly, and therefore the depreciation was easily explainable. It was not caused by dwarfs or high-rise buildings, as we were told. The exchange rate in 2014 had exposed the weak economic fundamentals. Remained robust in 2018, almost double the average in sub-Saharan Africa. The total public debt has increased from 122 billion in 2016 to 173 billion, including the cost of the banking sector cleanup at the end of 2018. However, the strong fiscal adjustment and better debt management has meant that the rate of debt accumulation, which is at 12%, excluding the banking sector cleanup, the rate of debt accumulation is at its lowest in the last decade. Inflation has dropped steadily from the high of 15.4% at the end of 2016 to 9% at the end of January 2019. This is the lowest we have seen in the last 6 years. In 2014, the exchange rate depreciated by 31.3%. The fiscal deficit was 10.1% of GDP. The public debt rose to 70.2% of GDP. Inflation rose to 17%, and GDP growth had declined from 7.3% to 4%. In other words, the economic fundamentals had weakened significantly, and therefore the depreciation was easily explainable. The data on the annual rate of depreciation of the cedi in recent years shows that the worst performance so far under the MPP government, the 8.4% depreciation that we saw in 2018, that worst performance is better than the best performance under the previous government between 2012 and 2016. So our worst is better than your best. And then you say boot for boot. This one is more like boot for Chalewote. Overbuy of ECG by PDS should help bring in much needed investments. The Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact is expected to result in some $1 billion invested in the power sector over the next 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has enough gas to power all our plants without relying on imported gas. Gas is so much cheaper than liquid fuel. This is why a policy decision has been taken to switch largely to the use of gas in energy generation. However, most of our gas is in the west of Ghana, and most of our power plants are in the east. And so we have to overcome the transportation bottlenecks. But if we do this switch, which should be done this year, the estimates are that we will save about $300 million annually, just on that switch. The West African gas pipeline supplies gas from the east to the west, and this is why we are doing a reverse flow to move the gas from the west to the east. The first phase of the reverse flow will be completed this month, which will allow us to transport some 60 million scarves from the west to the east, and the final, the completion of this work should be done between July and August. That's the phase 2 of it, after which, fingers crossed and God willing, we should not import any gas anymore. We'll use all domestic gas. So by July, August, we will be using domestic gas, if all this thing, and which will really bring down cost of gas in this country. And of course, Car Power is also moving to the west to be the off-taker for this gas. So we cannot be uncompetitive between Ghana and our next door neighbors. That is just shooting ourselves in the foot. So to reduce the incidence of smuggling and enhance revenue, the benchmark delivery values of imports will be reduced by 50%. However, for vehicles, the reduction will be 30%. This is because vehicles already attract an amount of depreciation, which if you factor it in, it will take you closer to the 50%. This will be effective from tomorrow. With digitization, we are introducing new and more efficient ways of doing things. We are changing the way things are done in the affected institutions for the benefits of ordinary Ghanaians. Here are a few of the reforms we have undertaken and we are undertaking in the digitization space. We have the introduction of the national ID card is a game changer, despite its teething challenges. So far, about 500,000 cards have been issued. And we've had the pilots take place in Adenta and Medina. We expect the mass issuance to commence at the end of April.